Hermione was trembling. Excuses, alibis, and wild cover-up stories chased each other around Harry's brain, each one more feeble than the last.
There's a shark in the park! Down at the park, a little boy is testing out his brand new toy. Timothy Pope is looking through his telescope. He looks at the sky, he looks at the ground, he looks left and right, and he looks all around. And this is what he sees. What a nasty surprise. In his loudest voice, Timothy cries, "There's a shark in the park!" A shark? Fancy that! It's only a cat. Meow. Timothy Pope looks again through his telescope. He looks at the sky, he looks at the ground, he looks left and right, and he looks all around. And this is what he sees. What a terrible sight. Timothy yells with all his might, "There's a shark in the park!" A shark? Oh no, it's just a crow. Cackle! Timothy Pope has one more look through his telescope. He looks at the sky, he looks at the ground, he looks left and right, and he looks all around. And this is what he sees. Tim's not in any doubt. What do you think he's about to shout? "There's a shark in the park!" A shark? No, it's not. And aren't you glad? As a matter of fact, it's Timothy's dad. It's time to go home, Timothy. Timothy Pope says it's safe to say there's no sharks in the park today.
Goldilocks saw the 3 bowls of porridge. She tasted the porridge in the great big bowl, but it was much too hot. She tasted the porridge in the middle-sized bowl, but it was too hot too. She tasted the porridge in the teeny-weeny bowl, and it was just right, so she ate it all up.
Chapter 1. Squalling rain and a biting wind buffeted the pupils of Miss Cackle's academy as they struggled to reach the school in time for the first day of the winter term. The girls' cloaks kept blowing inside out, then flapping round their faces like wet flannels. And most of the older pupils, who were expected to keep the cats sitting on their brooms at all times, had given up and crammed the cats into their baskets for safety. Mildred Hubble, who was not one of the best flies in the school, was valiantly trying her best to keep Tabby, her nervous striped cat, perched on the broom, just in case anyone was watching when she arrived. She had wedged Tabby between her back and a laundry bag stuffed with books, and she could feel his claws through her gym slip as the unruly cloak flapped and whirled above her shoulders. "Ouch!" she yelled.
Aliens love underpants of every shape and size, but there are no underpants in space, so here's a big surprise. When aliens fly down to Earth, they don't come to meet you. They simply want your underpants. I'll bet you never knew. They like them red, they like them green, or orange like Satsumas. But best of all, they love the sight of Granny's spotty bloomers. Mum's pink frilly knickers are a perfect place to hide, and Grandpa's woolly long johns make a super whizzy slide. They wear pants on their feet and heads and other silly places. They fly pants from their spaceships and hold upside down pant races. It's not your neighbour's naughty dog or next door's funny game. When underpants go missing, the aliens are to blame. So when you put your pants on, freshly washed and nice and clean, just check in case an alien, like me, still lurks inside unseen.
The children who loved books.
Agnes and Lucy didn't have very much. They didn't have a television, they didn't have a car, they didn't even have a house. But Agnes and Lucy had books, hundreds of them. They were stacked here and piled there.
On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Nu, in the heat of the day, in the cool of a pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton Elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked towards the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton. But who are you? Where? He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there, but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air.
We looked outside and we saw the cat in the hat. And he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that? I know it is wet and I know the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun and I think that's funny." "I know some good games we could play," said the cat. "I know some new tricks," said the cat in the hat. "A lot of good tricks. I will show them to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do." Then Sally and I did not know what to say. Our mother was out of the house for the day.
Now, aliens love underpants. They land in your back garden, though they haven't been invited. Ooh, underpants, they chant, and dance around, delighted. I could not, would not, on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house, and I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
He looked round the kitchen to see what else he could find. He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans, and all the food in the fridge, and all the packets and tins in the cupboard. And he drank all the milk and all the orange juice and all Daddy's beer and all the water in the tank.
Down in the depths below the shimmering tides lived a young seahorse who wanted to hide. Sully was so very tiny and small, he didn't feel very special at all. Oh, how he longed to be good at one thing. Sully just wished to be fast or to sing. Days were quite tough for this seahorse at school. He was known as a loser. Yes, sea life was cruel. The day had arrived that Sully so feared. The others loved it and thought he was weird. What could be happening? What might it be? Waves of excitement whooshed fast through the sea. Daisy the dolphin was humming a note. Pufferfish Pete was fine-tuning his bloat, practicing dance moves and tuning guitars. It was the annual games called Sea Schools.
When I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. My fingers stretch out, seeking Prin's warmth, but finding only the rough canvas cover of the mattress. She must have had bad dreams and climbed in with our mother. Of course she did. This is the day of the reaping. I prop myself up on one elbow. There's enough light in the bedroom to see them. My little sister, Prim, curled up on her side, cocooned in my mother's body, their cheeks pressed together. In sleep, my mother looks younger, still warm, but not so beaten down. Prim's face is as fresh as a raindrop, as lovely as the primrose for which she was named. My mother was very beautiful once too, or so they tell me. Sitting at Prim's knees, guarding her, is the world's ugliest cat. Mashed in nose, half of one ear missing, eyes the colour of rotting squash. Prim named him Buttercup, insisting that his muddy yellow coat matched the bright flower.
"Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, As the mouse and her babies scrambled inside, the shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town."
10 little super kids flying through the air spot the League of Bad Guys plotting in their lair.
"Now, I want a nice fair game from all of you," she said, once they were all gathered around her. Harry noticed that she seemed to be speaking particularly to the Slytherin captain Marcus Flint, a 5th year. Harry thought Flint looked as if he had some troll blood in him. Out of the corner of his eye he saw a fluttering banner high above, flashing "Potter for President." His heart skipped. He felt a little bit braver. "Mount your brooms, please." Harry clambered onto his Nimbus 2000. Madam Hooch gave a loud blast on her silver whistle. 15 brooms rose up, high, high into the air. They were off. "And the quaffle is taken immediately by Angelina Johnson of Gryffindor. What an excellent chaser that girl is, and rather attractive too. Jordan!" "Sorry, Professor." The Weasley twins' friend Lee Jordan was doing the commentary for the match, closely watched by Professor McGonagall. "And she's really belting along there. A neat pass to Alicia Spinett, a good find of Oliver Woods last year, only reserve, back to Johnson, and no, Slytherin have taken the quaffle. Slytherin captain Marcus Flint gains the quaffle, and off he goes. Flint flying like an eagle up there. He's going to score. No, stopped by an excellent move by Gryffindor keeper Wood, and Gryffindor take the quaffle. That's chaser Katie Bell of Gryffindor there. Nice dive around Flint. Up, off the field, and ouch, that must have hurt. Hit in the back of her head by a bludger. Quaffle taken by Slytherin. Another bludger has been sent his way by Fred or George Weasley. I can't tell which. Nice play by the Gryffindor beater. Anyway, and Johnson back in possession of the quaffle. A clear field ahead of them, and off she goes. She's really flying. Dodges a speeding bludger at the goalpost ahead. Come on now, Angelina. The bookkeeper dives, and Gryffindor score. Gryffindor cheers fill the cold air with howls and moans from the Slytherins.
Hello, George Spicer, and here is chapter 1 of the twit called Hairy Faces. What a lot of hairy-faced men there are around nowadays. When a man grows hair all over his face, it is impossible to tell what he really looks like. Perhaps that's why he does it. He'd rather you didn't know. Then there's the problem of washing. When the very hairy ones wash their face, it must be as big a job as when you and I wash the hair on our heads. So what I want to know is this. How often do all these hairy-faced men wash their faces? Is it only once a week, like us on Sunday nights? And do they shampoo it? Do they use a hairdryer? Do they rub hair tonic in to stop their faces from going bald? Do they go to a barber to have their hairy faces cut and trimmed? Or do they do it themselves in front of the bathroom mirror with nail scissors? I don't know. But next time you see a man with a hairy face, which will probably be as soon as you step out onto the street, maybe you will look at him more closely and start wondering about some of these things. And that is the end of chapter 1. Thank you for listening.
The elder Paul was telling a story. It was a Jalal tale, one of the best. Jalal loved to hear his grandfather's tales of their famous ancestor, how Jalal fought the fiercest warrior cats, how he was the mightiest hunter, how he came out of Mesopotamia and travelled to the ends of the earth, further than any cat had been before. But today, the elder Paul's tale just made Varjak restless.
Hello. The story I've chosen to read is The Fish Who Could Wish. In the deep blue sea, in the deep of the blue, swam a fish who could wish, and each wish would come true. Oh, the fun that he had, oh, the things he would do, just wishing away in the deep water blue. He wished for a castle, he wished for a car, he wished for a horse and a Spanish guitar. Once when he wished he could go out and ski, it snowed for a week under the sea. He wished he could fly, and to his delight, flew twice round the world in exactly one night. He wished for fine suits and handsome silk ties, but the one thing he never wished was to be wise. One day, just for fun, that silly old fish wished the silliest wish he could wish. That silly old fish wished he could be just like all the other fish in the sea, but wishing was something other fish could not do, so that was his very last wish that came true.